Okay, great. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Happy New Year. It's January 2022. My name is Leah Groppo. I'm one of the dietitians and diabetes educators at Stanford Healthcare. We definitely want to welcome you tonight and thank you for coming. Tonight we have a great speaker, Jen Miller. So she's worked at Stanford for the last 4 years, but she's actually been in healthcare for 27 years. So she brings a lot of experience. She has a BA or BS in health sciences, and then she's also currently going to school for a master's in public health. So we're very fortunate to have her and her expertise in behavior change. I will also say, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the question box, the Q&A box, and I'll be monitoring that and ask those either in the middle or at the end of Jen's talk. And then finally, we also have a brand new survey that one of our other dietitians, Elaine Hahn and Jillian from the Health Library created to really survey and understand what type of information and talks you all want to hear, because we want to make it something that's useful to you. So you'll get an email about that at the end of this talk. So without further ado, Jen.
Thanks, Leah. So my talk today is about small goals make for big futures. And again, I'm an MPH candidate at the University of New England. So we're gonna talk today about SMART goals. But first, I want you to think about what these slides make you think of. These obviously are delicious food, some different forms of exercise. Gardening can also be considered an exercise. Here's exercising with friends, just simple walking. Here is some yoga. Even laundry, household chores can be considered exercise. It's just basically moving your body and being active. So here we are. The American Diabetes Association has some plates put together, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to plan your portions for healthier eating. So right here, it shows that you should have 1/2 of your plate filled with vegetables. So in this example, it would be carrots, green beans, and then carbohydrates should be 1/4 and protein should be the other 1/4. Here's another example: fish, rice, and legumes, and 1/2 with vegetables. I did also want to point out that water is always going to be your best choice, or a no-calorie drink. It's pretty easy, I think all of us have found, to waste calories with high caloric drinks. I'm not sure about you guys, but for myself, I would much rather spend my calories on the food on my plate instead of the drink. Here is another example. So it looks like we have some beans, cabbage, rice, and looks like pork. Here's a great example. Again, it's always going to be 1/4 of the protein, 1/4 of the carbohydrates, and 1/2 of your plate should make up the vegetables. And it's non-starchy vegetables, of course. Here is a good example of a vegetarian plate. So here we have some broccoli, red peppers, onions, and tofu. So as you can see, the portions of this are a little bit different. It's kind of covering 3/4 because the tofu is, of course, mixed in with the vegetables. And then we also have some grains. Here's another great one. Again, 1/2 of it, vegetables, mushrooms. spinach, peppers, fish, rice. I think we all can kind of think about, on the slides, there's different vegetables. I think one of the things to remember is everyone potentially likes different foods. So the main thing is adapt and just try to make healthier choices.
Oh, Jen, you actually have a question already. Somebody is asking, is carrot a non-starchy or a starchy vegetable?
Carrot is a non-starchy?
Yeah, carrots are non-starchy vegetables, lower in carbohydrates than like a potato. Exactly.
Yeah, sorry about that. Leah's the dietitian, so I just wanted to make sure. I don't want to give you wrong information. Okay. Did you guys have any other questions about specific foods?
I think that's it so far.
Okay. And then right here, it just gives you some kind of portion sizes. So for instance, 1 ounce would be 23 almonds, roughly, and it's about 170 calories. Your fist is a handy tool that's always with you. You can tell like what size of fist would be 1 cup versus a cup and a half. Also, an apple would be considered a small piece of fruit, and it'll be about 60 calories. And one thing that sometimes a lot of times people can get confused is how much oil are you supposed to use when you're cooking? 1 teaspoon of olive oil, for example, goes a long way. And you maybe want to think about, how does your portion size compare? Salad dressing is 2 tablespoons is the standard serving size. But if you were trying to cut calories, you would use less. Another way to cut calories for salad is to ask for the dressing on the side and dip your fork into it instead of pouring the dressing on your salad. Also, it talks a little bit about fats. All fats are high in calories, so keep the portion sizes small, less than a tablespoon in most cases. So in this example, it's talking about salad dressing. Eat often, oil-based salad dressing, vinaigrettes, and oil and vinegar. Sometimes would be dressings like low-fat, creamy salad dressings like light ranch. You should typically limit full-fat dressings like ranch or blue cheese. So one thing that's really important, I think, to all of us is variety and flexibility around eating. No single eating style fits everyone. We can eat our favorite foods in moderation. We should be eating regular meals with smaller portions based on whole foods. So what I might cook for dinner might look totally different than what Leah cooks for dinner. And both are great. It's just personal preference. So today we're going to talk about SMART goals. And the SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based. So the first one we're going to talk about is, so we're going to walk through the setting of a SMART goal. And in this instance, I'm going to use rice as my example. So what I'm looking at is how to make a SMART goal in using less rice. So the first thing we want to do is make it specific. In order to meet larger goals, we make specific small goals. To reduce serving size of rice to 1 cup. So maybe you used to eat a whole cup of rice, and for the SMART goal, you're going to be specific. I'm going to cut down to 1/2 cup of rice. Another way is that you want it to be measurable. So a way to measure progress in small steps would be to keep track of your progress in a journal, phone, or tracker. I know a lot of people use trackers. I do have a friend that prefers not to track while she's actually eating the meal. So she does what's kind of demonstrated in this picture. She takes a picture of her meal and then looks at that. Maybe she's with some friends and doesn't want to write out, in her tracker, and maybe she hasn't. Sometimes you can pre-track your food, but she says when going out to dinner, the quickest thing for her to do is just snap a quick picture. And then when she has time, when she gets home, she tracks her progress in a journal. So you want to make sure that your goals are attainable. The goals are meant to be in reach if you work towards them. So in the rice instance, we'll start with cutting down to a 1/4 cup of rice. But you do want to make sure your goals are realistic. You want to make sure they will fit into your life. So, for instance, let's say rice is a big part of your meal plans. So you're not gonna not eat rice, but maybe you want to use other grains or use a brown rice, or another way would be to prepare better proportions. Another thing that we'll talk about is time-based. So we set time frames for smaller goals that can help you meet the larger goals. So let's say you decide that the smaller portion of rice is too big of a goal for every day. So then a time-based goal might be eating a smaller portion of rice 3 times a week. That would be a great goal. One thing you want to do is you want to measure success. You want to reevaluate your progress weekly. You want to set goals with your family or friends. You want to reward yourself when your goals are met. You forgive yourself if you get off track. And when you get off track, you reevaluate to set more realistic goals. Maybe your goals were too ambitious. And I can tell you, for my personal self, I set SMART goals all the time. This month, I've been setting some SMART goals with a friend. And during the pandemic, we started walking. We walk twice a week. And that helps because we have a accountability partner, and we reward ourselves. We have a goal set for this month, and we said if we meet this goal, then we're going to go do a fun activity together. But for myself, I definitely have to remember that if I get off track, it's okay. So for instance, I'm a runner, And so I set a goal to do more running, but I hadn't been running very much. So at a certain point, I reevaluated and said, hey, am I not running as much because the idea in my head was too big? So I went back to the beginning and set a goal of running, but starting with run walks. And that has been a much more realistic goal to start with. And so my first goal was too ambitious. And so I got frustrated and it was much easier to stay off track. So now we just wanted to talk about ways to get more active. You can think of things you enjoy doing, find a friend to be active with, and remember that activity can be just household chores. We can all start slow, make a goal to just move your body every day and have some aerobic activity. And this one, I just wanted to put these questions out there. We just wanted to talk some simple ways to add activity. How can you be more active at home? How can you be more active at work? How can you be more active when you're out? So obviously the person in this slide is walking his dog. Another way to be more active when you're out is maybe to park your car a little bit further from wherever you're going to shop or that kind of thing. How could you be more active at work? One suggestion I would have is just to take the stairs if that's possible. If that's not possible for you, if that's not something you're able to do, then get up and walk to see a coworker versus calling them or sending an email, or you could take a walk on a break. Go outside. I always find going outside and getting some fresh air is always helpful for me to kind of reset myself. Ways that you can be more active at home, like we talked about, is you can do chores that you normally do. House cleaning.
Somebody actually shared something in the chat. They said you can do laps around your kitchen table, laps up and down your stairs at home if you have them, or at work, maybe walking up and down your driveway at home, or laps in a parking lot.
Oh, those are all great ideas to get in some quick activity.
Or someone even said walking maybe indoor at church or outdoor. Yeah, so people are adding in the chat. Just wanted to share that.
Oh yeah, those are great ideas for how to be more active. Thank you. So activity guidelines for adults are adults should be active for 150 minutes a week, but that can be broken up into smaller pieces. Start with a goal to be active every day and work up to 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic physical activity. So obviously, the woman in this picture is having a dance party with her kids. I think this is a great way to just be active with the people in your household. And it's fun and it can break up the day. So again, just making small goals will really help. Things to think about is just review your goal often and adjust as necessary. Was it specific enough? Was it measurable? Was it actually achievable? Does the time need to be adjusted? Start with something doable to build your confidence. You know, when I first started walking with a friend, we had this idea that it was during the pandemic, so we wanted to do something outdoors. In this instance, she wasn't a close friend, but we lived close to each other, and that for us made the difference because we could plan these more spur of the moment. So we just started small. We started first with once a week. We picked a route, and then we just kept going, and we found the accountability was really helpful. So I think when with any of these SMART goals that you set, an accountability partner is really helpful, because for the walking goal that I set for myself, it's really helpful that she texts me and says, I'm leaving my house, see you soon, because it's a lot harder to back out. Like for me, I can back out of a run and go to, back to bed because it's just me. But if there's someone coming to meet you, you're less likely to not stick to your goal. And do we have any questions?
Right now, no, but everybody feel free to add questions into the chat box. And I will give you a moment to do that. I also wanted to give a quick plug for next month in February 10th. We have another wellness group that's scheduled. I'm actually going to be presenting, Leah, and I'm going to be talking about lower carb substitutions. So that's from 5 to 6. So feel free to register for that as well. And definitely feel free to put your questions in the chat box and we can ask. Oh, another suggestion, Jen, doing leg lifts before getting out of bed and getting back in bed.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Oh, somebody's asking, is beetroot okay for people with pre-diabetes? If you want, I can help.
Yes,
So some people will take beetroot thinking that's going to lower blood sugar. It hasn't really been shown in studies to lower blood sugar, but beets in general are also healthy. They have a lot of nutrition in them. So it definitely won't hurt to have them, but I don't think that it will be enough to lower blood sugar. Actually, beets are very interesting too, because they're mostly either sugar or fiber. They don't really have a lot of starch in them. Another person's asking, what your thoughts are on people stopping medication if they're able to control their diabetes with exercise and dieting.
So I'll let you take that one.
Okay. Yeah, I think that it's a good conversation to have with your healthcare team, your diabetes healthcare team, your primary care doctor or endocrinologist, to kind of look to see where your hemoglobin A1C is, and then if you can titrate off of medication. It also depends on what kind of medication and what kind of diabetes you have, but that's a great question. Diet and exercise can make a big impact on blood sugar. And the sugar in beetroot is okay. It's pretty well balanced out with the high fiber content of the beets. That was another question. Oh, and somebody else has a comment, Jen, just about people who are living with diabetes trying to get foods from all the different food groups to keep their blood sugars more balanced. So I think they're referencing those ADA American Diabetes Association plates. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a really important thing to keep your plate balanced. So those are great plate pictures.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Somebody is also asking about trying to fast and then enjoying slightly higher or slightly unhealthy foods. Is that okay? It's hard to know if you mean unhealthy by just higher processed carbohydrates, maybe. I'm not totally sure. I think that fasting, if you want to eat over a shorter period of time, one of the common fasts is fasting for 16 hours and eating over 8 hours. You definitely can do that. That could be a good option and has been shown to lower blood sugar. But we still want to try to put in healthy options like Jen has been going over today, like those plants and vegetables and produce and whole grains. Oh, unhealthy, like eating a cheeseburger, they're classified. I think that you can definitely have cheeseburgers in your diet. It's just not something that you probably want to have as a constant and every day. Also, everybody needs to think about the whole picture. So if you're watching your lipids and your cholesterol, cheeseburgers make more of an impact on raising those numbers. So it just kind of is it could be a custom thing. And I will say at Stanford, we have a diabetes care program where we have dietitians and people that you can speak to about more customized diets as well, and diabetes educators.
I also think sometimes for those things, sometimes I make swaps for things that I'm eating. So my kids are vegetarians, so we often eat like a vegetarian burger that would be like a little healthier than your normal fast food cheeseburger.
Yeah, that's great as well. Somebody is asking about calcium intake. So 1,200 milligrams of calcium and how to do that without eating a lot of cheese or dairy or drinking fortified juices or milk. So calcium can be found in a variety of sources. There are also foods that are a little bit higher in calcium that are plant-based, like some of those greens. And then I think for the 1,200 milligrams, if your doctor is trying to increase for your calcium levels at a higher level, some of that can come from supplements as well. And then somebody else is commenting, Jen, that trying to keep their daily meals and snacks within that 8-hour window seems to keep their blood sugars more balanced, they've found.
Yeah, that's great.
And I think it's been so great how you've really highlighted we all can live a healthy life living with diabetes and eating the foods that we like to eat, and just thinking about these small goals to continue our health journeys, that it doesn't have to be large things that seem overwhelming or change the way we live or eat. It can be more realistic goals.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important. I was telling Leah before this that I use SMART goals all the time, and I think we stop and start, and we can set SMART goals for different, like right now, I'm trying to drink more water. So, that's my SMART goal. And I found that I, went from, flavored water to now just a plain sparkling water, but it took like a period of, a couple of months kind of like changing up the SMART goal and modifying it until I found what worked for me. And it certainly didn't happen all at once. I think that's one of the things that we need to think about is the small goals that we make to help ourselves be healthier in general. I think we can easily get off track if we say we're never going to eat a certain food ever again. And, it's better to think about filling our plates with healthy vegetables, lean proteins, grains, and taking it one small goal at a time. And it's the same with exercise. If the goal is too big, it becomes overwhelming. But like many people mentioned, just small little changes you can make in your life, and then the smaller goals keep building into a healthier lifestyle in general.
Yeah, excellent. And people are definitely agreeing with you as well in the chat. I don't see any other questions. So I think that with that, just thank you so much, Jen, for speaking to us today and for sharing the SMART goal strategies and also showing us the American Diabetes Association plates. And thank you all for attending. We really appreciate it. And we hope to see you next month on February 10th at 5.
Thank you.